So my position, I started as the new position that they had was an internship coordinator. And so what I do essentially is students have to do an internship uh, towards the end of their um graduation process, their path. And so as part of that, students are looking for internships, have questions, have things that they're struggling with, trying to get through that process. So I help them get themselves coordinated, set up for the class, and then I oversee the class. And what the class is essentially you have your internship where you put in your hours, and then once a week you'll submit a journal entry which talks about what I like them to do is they talk about, so here's what I did this week, and that's great. Then they'll talk about here's what I learned from what I did and how it fits into the coursework that I've been doing. The piece that I think I really like the most is that I added to it was I'd like you to reflect on, what have you really learned about you through this process? Because it's the important piece to this is, okay, so an internship, the idea is to help people see what they're going to even like this field. We've studied in the books, and now we're going to do something out there in the real world. And what I try to encourage students to do is I say, look in your job, look at the things that you find just come easy as far as the time just flies by. Mm-hmm. And that is, it may be, so in the job that I'm in right now, I work with horses and students, and we deal with trauma that they've gone through. And I love that. The part that I love the most is designing the program. So I've been developing this program for the last year and a half. And that's the piece that I love is, okay, what do we have to do to get these horses together with these kids, and what's the best way to affect that trauma that they struggled with? Okay. So in that capacity, it's really, so I understand myself that I like the creating side of it, right? Mm-hmm. So what I tell the students is, look, when you get into this internship, look for the pieces that time just seems to fly by. And so what I encourage the students to do is watch for that, and then know that that's a piece that you've got to find in whatever job you go to. If you're going to be satisfied, that's what you need to do. And so it's not necessarily, I enjoy doing, working as a specialist in this area. What is it about the specialist job that you like, that you really like? And it may be working with people. It may be creating lessons. So that's what I try and get them to do, is really look at that. And so you'll understand that no matter where you work, what you do, you got to have those components to be satisfied with your job. So I try and spread that message with the students that I interact with, because oftentimes they'll call me. And by the way, just to add to this, so I work full time all day, and I'm generally out on a tractor, out with the horses and the students, or just not really close to my phone. So what I ask is that, they can text me. I don't have a problem with that. I won't get to them till later. But if they'd call me, I'm happy for them to call me any day after 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Tell them not to hesitate. Usually they'll call me and then they'll apologize. Oh, I'm really sorry for bothering you. I would prefer, because usually I'm in my car on the way home at that time, and I'm happy to talk with people. I love to help them, want to help them. They'll just find less frustration catching up to me if they just realize I'm okay with that. And I'd rather talk with them on the phone, because we can share ideas, and I usually can solve their question pretty quick, versus with emails, you do several emails to try and get the thing done, and you may even have to include somebody else in that. So I really am happy with talking with people on the phone, and I get to know them that way. I guess what I do really is kind of help everybody get into the right slot. And when I get chances to, I try and give advice about what they do. I've been in this business, human services business, since 1991. Different kinds of capacities. I've worked in hospitals, residential centers, and what I do now is a residential center, but it's different. We're developing a program with wild Mustangs. And so we bring a wild Mustang in that hasn't been touched by people, and we give them to these kids who have trauma, and the kids' job is to gentle that horse so that it can be picked up its feet, load in a trailer, lead, be groomed. and then we find someone to adopt it. And so the horses were about 15 miles away from us, so I'd take them out there and work with them, and which I thought was a pretty good deal. I enjoyed it, and they really enjoyed it. And at first they were kind of like, oh, we don't want to work with these goofy horses. And afterwards, they looked forward to it. It was something different, got off campus and that. And so one young man that was really kind of reluctant to do it, he finally graduated, left, went back home. And one night I was getting ready for bed, about to climb in actually, and I got a text message from this young man. And he said, I just want you to know that working with those horses saved my life. He said, you wouldn't know that unless I told you, so I wanted you to know. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. And later he actually came back for a visit and talked with me about it. And just that, having that chance to breathe and interact with something that, just kind of, there's an emotional connection there. We have domestic horses here too that the kids work with. But the Mustang's different. It's not been touched by human beings other than when they captured it, and it's sort of a blank slate, and it's looking for, am I safe? That's the first thing they want to know. And then they want to know, can I trust you? And they have to learn how to regulate themselves when a human's in the corral with them. That's exactly what the kids are doing here. They don't talk with people because they don't trust them. Mm-hmm. And they want to know, am I safe? Because they're kind of hyper vigilant. They've been abused. And so they're looking around thinking, is this really a safe place? Nothing's going to happen to me? And so as we watched those things happen, it was amazing to me. And so on that far end of that, some of the kids started telling me things like, one young lady said, I gave her a really big horse to work with, and she was a short little girl. Mm-hmm. And so she was afraid I thought she was just kind of afraid of the horse. And I said, you got to be firmer with this horse, give it direction, be the leader. I said, well, tell him what you got out of this. And she said, well, and I figured she's going to say, Rod pushed me to be more firm, and I learned to be firmer. And she started and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, okay. She said, but that isn't what I really learned. I was afraid to tell that horse, to force that horse to listen to me, to follow my leadership. She said, because I was afraid that anything I would do would cause this horse to not like me. And so because I was afraid of not being liked, I wasn't really helping that horse move forward. And she said it clicked for me because she'd had several experiences with boys. And she said, I was afraid to tell boys no because I was more concerned that they wouldn't like me than I was concerned for my own self, who I am, And the people in the bleachers tears were running down their face, and it was a very touching moment because I had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? I worked with her and her horse, but I never sat down with her and said, okay, let's figure the metaphor out here, right? Mm-hmm. She made the connection that went inside her and helped her make some really changes to her belief about herself. That kind of stuff happens all the time. And it has a lot to do with these horses are scary. I mean, because when they first get here, they're snorting and they're ready to climb out of a 6-foot corral. They're just so afraid. Well, these kids, when they get here, they are kind of the same way, So they make quick connections. And then they have something at the end of this that they can look back on, and when they're feeling like they're not moving forward in life, they can say, I did something really big. And they'll always have that. No one can take that away no matter what. Who would have thought a wild horse, could teach a young lady how to say no to boys? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't think that. You just wouldn't thought that. We've had so many things happen like that I think we completely underestimated what was going to happen with this, Mm-hmm. So it's been good. One piece of advice, I think it really goes back to what we touched on earlier. Mm-hmm. Find what it is in your life that really time just disappears for you. So time just disappears when I'm doing computer programming. And I can start doing that and look up and the clock has gone by 2 hours. Does that mean I want to be a computer programmer? Not necessarily. It means I like to create. I like to develop. So I try and get the students to go down to that level. What's it really about that you enjoy? And then make sure whatever job you're going to take, there's a huge percentage of your job that allows you to do whatever that is. If you don't have that, if you're really a people person and you see this high-paying job and you're going to sit in a cubicle, you're going to die. That job is going to kill you and you're going to hate it. And so, you don't have to be doing this just at your job. You look at your life, and the Lord's give us all gifts, right? And if we can tap into those gifts, we find joy. And I think the things that really make us tick when we're working, doing things, that's been given to us as a gift. And we need to pursue that so that we can enjoy what we do during the day.